Hey everybody, John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook weekly weather briefing for the 17th of March. Now, what's on my mind on this briefing right now is how March will end and April will start. There's some signs of some colder air overspreading the nation, the central part of the U.S., parts of the east. It's going to be a little frustrating with everybody wanting spring to arrive, but a lot of uncertainty in that. So let's talk about that in today's weekly weather briefing. Now, last week, as is typical in early spring, a lot of active weather. Take a look at all the reports of hail. That's purple, green, some heavy rain, winds in yellow, and we had 28 reports of tornadoes here, parts of Ohio and other areas right in here, these little red dots. So a lot of spring type weather. Meanwhile, out in the Rockies, Colorado, lots of snow. Denver got the most snow in quite a while. Went from below normal up to normal just with that one storm event. Okay, so right now we have a system moving down into the along the Gulf Coast. We've seen that repeatedly all winter. Area of high pressure up to the north, that's pushing down to the south, and that will bring some colder air over parts of the central U.S. Okay, taking a look at the rainfall and precipitation last week, beginning to see these little areas here, these streaks, and that indicates thunderstorm tracks. So in spring and summer, the rainfall won't be as widespread, but it'll be heavier due to these thunderstorms. I think the more widespread rain, we had some on the West Coast, but right in this track here, Louisiana, parts of Arkansas, sort of starts in Texas and moves off to the east. There's that snow, front range snow. That came in some form of some really heavy snow, and you can see that here on the front range of the Rockies. Northeast also got some snow, and there was some light snow over the upper Midwest as well. Okay, we take a look at the departure from normal temperatures last week, and we're seeing these seasonal type patterns, and I think the two that stand out is the unusually mild weather in the upper Midwest, again 10 to 15 degrees above normal for the weekly average. And then that really wet pattern over the south central into the southeast. I think those are some of the two really predominant patterns that we've had. So it'll be interesting when we break those and get more into a spring summer type pattern. We have not broke that yet. Okay, so the warmest temperatures of the week, green was 70s, and boy, we have a long, big area right up here that made it into the 70s over the last week. 80s are in yellow. Okay, so you can easily see where the frontal boundary is here, right along here, higher dew points to the south, much drier air. Look at this dry air up here. And that low pressure will be moving across those areas of higher dew points, and that's where our action will be this week. In case you're interested where we have high flows, that's indicated in blue, again, south central parts of the southeast, and also the northeast U.S. The upper Mississippi, which has been pretty quiet, that has fairly low flows. Now, in case you're interested in the main stem Mississippi, remember those really low flows? Well, we're bringing some water into the Mississippi right now. This is the middle Mississippi right here. This is the Ohio, especially in the Ohio. So the lower Mississippi that was so low last summer and fall, you can see now it's pretty much in a normal range. Okay, so this is a bit of where I'm sort of scratching my head here. This is the stratospheric winds right here, high level winds, polar vortex. And when it becomes negative, we get some colder weather. And that's right now, we're getting a little taste of some colder weather. But as we get towards the end of the month, it's sort of near neutral. On the other hand, the Arctic Oscillation, which is another sign of colder air in the central and eastern U.S., is going negative towards the end of the month. That tells me there's a chance of an outbreak of some Arctic air as we get towards the end of March. But there's actually some colder air right now. You can see the dip in the jet stream that's pushing into the area. I showed that cold front and the colder air pushing in from Canada. That'll be affecting parts of the nation early this week. And it'll take a couple days before we, again, warm up later this week. I want to mention that this ridge of high pressure here is bringing record temperatures up in the Pacific Northwest. It's been up in the 70s early this week. Okay, so this sort of shows that first area of cool air that's over us now. But then by the second 5 days, this is where we start pulling the much colder air. And the question is, will it be confined right in here, or will it push more down further south and further east? I have a little bit of a question mark on that, but I showed you some of the models are uncertain with that. Yesterday, they pushed it down a little bit further to the south and east. Today, they're holding it up a little bit. I'm not going to argue with this at the current time, but it does show that parts of the upper Midwest, parts of the plains, parts of the Midwest, and maybe even parts of the South are going to experience a late month cool down. Okay, so last week was really active. This week it doesn't look nearly as active. We're going to get some heavy rain from Texas again, across Louisiana, along the coast. Some of this is going to be in the form of snow with some of the colder air. And, much less active than last week. Most of the nation, a pretty tranquil week as far as the weather goes. A little bit of snow in the next 4 days here and there. You can sort of see where that is, again, in the Rockies, higher elevations. And the extended outlook here, well, this is showing the extent of the cold air, and it looks like it pushes over maybe the western 2/3 of the nation. Again, we will see as we get closer and how much of that cold air will sink south. I think, man, it's really hard to say. I want to say I think a little bit more further south, but hard to say. In any case, if you've been looking for spring, it looks like it's going to be delayed as we get into late March and early April over parts of the nation. That's this week's weather briefing. I hope you all have a great week. Take care.